If you want to get better at improv, know how and when to edit. Hey, I'm Anthony Francis. Today we're talking about editing in our improv scenes. How do we do it? When do we know is the right time to do it? The general rule of thumb here is edit either on a high note, which means the audience is laughing or cheering, applauding, they're on their feet, they're going crazy. This is great. This is a great moment. Everything's wonderful. Great. Edit that. Get rid of that. The other time we want to edit is when the scene is going terribly wrong. Terribly, terribly wrong. And that's basically it. That's to know when to edit. When do we know that we've missed our chance to edit? What do we do when we've missed the moment to edit? There's something that happens to everyone if you've ever been running tech. And that means if you've been running the lights for an improv show. So you're not in the show, but you're running the lights, which means it's your job to decide when to black out, right? When to turn off all the lights at the end of a scene or at the end of the show itself. And in order to do that, you need to find a button. You need to find a moment. And that's what we look for when we edit. We're looking for a button. And a button is just like a button on your clothes. It's something to just bring the whole scene together, right? The scene is complete. We put a button on that scene. It's done. I don't know the full etymology of buttons, but you know what I'm saying. So we put a button on it. That's what a button is. And as a tech person, you're trying to find the button. Or if you're calling improv games, you're looking for the button. You're looking for that moment to edit the scene. So what happens when we miss the button? Well, we wait for another button. But that's when we run into a problem, because the more we wait for another button, the longer time goes by. And then you can't really find that button and it doesn't come. And now whole minutes have gone by. And then you look at the clock again, and the set that was only supposed to be 20 minutes is now 23 minutes and almost 24 minutes. And now 6 days have gone by. The audience is starving. They're hungry. They're thirsty. They're calling. They're trying to reach friends and family to save them. It's been days. No one knows where they are. People have lost their jobs. The point is this. When you miss the button, just find any little opening and shut it down. Just shut it down. Edit that scene. It's time to get out. This is a good button, I'm going to edit, or this is a terrible moment, I'm going to edit this now. We're going to get out. That's another time it might happen. You might say, okay, this scene is terrible. But you know what? Let me give it a second. Let me see if it'll pick up. No, it's not getting better. Well, let's see. Oh, they're working towards something. Let's see. It's not getting better, right? We have to trust our gut. Just like when you step out on the back line during a show and you're editing, doing either a pull focus edit or a French edit or a sweep edit or whatever it is, you have to come off that back line to edit that scene. You're doing the same thing. You're going, when is the right moment? Where is that button? Is it a high note, or is it going to be, do I have to save them and just get them out of there, right? Those are the two times we want to edit. And then if we miss those two times, we just have to be brave and go, okay, this is going to be a little bit of a messy edit, but I'm just going to do it anyway, because it's better to get them out of that spot. For two reasons. Better to get them out because they're dying up there. The idea that they put together isn't working and they're dying, or that was great. It's probably not going to get better. They had a great peak. And you know what? Maybe they'll have more peaks, but it's time for that scene to end. It's gone long enough for the form that we're doing. Let's just put a button on it right now. We're going to edit that scene. I always tell my students, trust your feet. That's a side coaching note that I'll give. And for my improv teachers and directors out there, keep an eye out for this. Students on the back line, when they know it's time to edit the scene, but they're afraid or timid for whatever reason, because they're just not used to cutting it off like that, or they might not be used to editing in general, you'll see them do this. Right? And that's them kind of moving their feet a little bit, getting ready. We're all guilty of it. It happens, right? When I see that, though, I tell my students, I look at them, I say, hey, trust your feet, right? Your feet know it's time to edit. By the way, there is no secret training to be an editor. I'll tell you my training. When I was a kid, I would sit in front of the TV and I would just change the channel anytime anything got boring, okay? It's basically that. You do it every day, more so now. If you're on TikTok or YouTube Shorts or whatever it is, you just, if it's interesting, it's interesting. If it's not, you edit it. That's what you're doing. Every time you scroll up, you're editing. So that feeling of this is done. The only difference is we want to give our improv scenes way longer time to pan out than our TikToks. So once they've established, and let's talk about that for a moment. So I'm watching an improv scene. I'm going to see them establish who they are, where they are, what's going on, and or I might not, depending on the format. If it's a short form show, I'm obviously going to wait for them to establish it, play the game, and we're going to keep trying to play the game, heighten the game, speed the game up, edit, right? End the game. And that's how I like all of my short form games. When I'm a caller for short form games is how I like to edit the short form games. When it's a long form show, you might not be getting the who, what, where out right away. It might just be characters sitting there fishing for 20 minutes before anyone says anything, whatever that might be. The point is this: you're going to give your show format the amount of time everyone has agreed on is the amount of time that the scene should work. And if it doesn't, then we can edit. We know it's time to edit. So let's say you're doing a Herald or you're doing some long form format and you say each scene is going to be 5 minutes long. So around 5 minutes. So you know that after about 5 minutes, and hopefully you have a clock in the back you can watch, or maybe you have a watch on your wrist you can look at. You know that at the end of those 5 minutes, if they're having a great arc, you're going to look for a button, right? Okay, they've been up there for about 5 minutes. Great. Oh, big moment. Cool. I'm going to come in. I'm going to edit. Oh, it's not going well. It's kind of petering out. Okay, well, we've seen all we need to see from these characters, and they'll come back. I know the format. I'm going to edit the scene, and that's good where that is. So I'm always editing from a place of I want them to look good. If it's dying, I want to get them out. If they're doing great, I want to edit them there. I don't ever want to edit for you might edit for a laugh, but I always want to edit because I want to make sure that the people that are on stage we're seeing them in their best light. An edit should make the performance look good and save us from seeing more stuff that isn't working. In improv, we don't get mad about the things that didn't work. We celebrate the opportunity to do it. We celebrate the attempt. And when we edit, that's just us saying, hey, that was a good attempt. It's time to move on. Hey, that attempt didn't work. It's time to move on. So trust your feet and don't be afraid to edit because it's part of what we do.